We'll do a bunch of stuff. I love that tune.
Good evening and welcome to Field Talk. I am a Field, also known as Field of Bears, coming at you live from deep behind enemy lines in the wind-infested fields of California to remind you that socialism always ends in starvation and genocide. I like that intro better. I'll be going with that, except maybe without the gasp. Take a deeper breath so that I can get it all out in one go. Before I get started, of course, the hellos. Hello to Slap Weasel, The Last Moomin, Boulder, and Roy. And I think there was someone else. Who else did I see? Spurdunky! Hello, Spurdunky. Now make sure to share with your friends and enemies so that you can have more fun in the chat while I talk about the concept of being grounded. Now, I don't mean this in the literal sense, as in, making sure that you don't have any static discharge when you're working on your tower, or making sure that you do not form a path to the ground or when you're working with high voltage electricity. What the hell? Well, that was weird. My computer decided to do a weird thing. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean to cuss. I will pay myself a quarter for cussing later. Hello, Cold as Ice Bear. I am, of course, talking about being grounded in the sort of woo-woo sense, and since it is a bit more of an intimate topic than the normal electrical sense of the word, I think you might enjoy it if we came in for the close-up shot. There we go. Don't I look amazing? Aren't you ever so tickled to get such a close look at your very favorite person on YouTube? Of course you are, because I am just the best looking guy on YouTube, that's for sure. Anyway, enough about how amazing I look and how humble I am about it. Let's talk about being grounded in the sort of woo-woo sense, of course. So, when I read the news, when I look at what's going on in the world, it's really easy to feel small, insignificant, really easy to become overwhelmed and be brought close to the brink of despairing at the injustice of it all and how everything just seems to be going entirely insane or worse, just stupid. You look at things like the election of Alexandria Octopus convict, or you talk about creepy Uncle Joe possibly running for the presidency, or you talk about an insane fascist murdering over 30 people in New Zealand and that somehow affecting us here in the United States, as well as turning his entire country fascist, oddly enough. And you look at the yellow vest protest for the going for the, I think it's like the 30th week now it's going. You look at the insane anti-free speech legislation going on in Britain and across the EU, and you look at the Parliament of Britain not executing Brexit at all. And then you look at the insane things that our so-called celebrities say. You look at Chris Pratt saying that he's going to cut off friendships because his friend supports Trump. And you look at them lecture us on their private jets about climate change and stuff like this. And it makes it can be really easy just to feel crushed under all of these things that you ultimately don't have very much of a say in, apart from one vote at a ballot box. And well, every one vote does add up, but you do. It's really hard to not feel insignificant in the face of it all. And so, honestly, what helps me, what helps me when I see the culture and government kind of do crazy things, I go outside on my ranch and I build something. I complete some kind of task. A little while ago, when things were extra crazy and the Mueller report was in the news about how Trump was going down and all of that, before it came out to be the Feast of Nothing burgers, as you remember. What I did is I made the sheep barn for the sheep to have lambs in, and it's really just this janky kind of setup. And this is really all off the cuff, you guys. I might talk about this again on Friday. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to talk about this again, about just about the ranch in general on Friday. That might be fun. I'll I'll get some pictures ready if you want. In the comments, if you would like to see that after the stream, type starvation. If not, type genocide. But anyway, the barn is just this kind of janky setup. On the garage, there's a carport that comes off of one side. And so what I did is I took thick plywood, about 3/4 inch thick, and I walled off one side. And then on the back side, I put two more sheets up and left a gap in the middle for them so that it wouldn't create a wind tunnel. And inside the barn, I used pallets to make little stalls for them because after they lamb, you have to sort of confine them so that the lambs can establish a nursing pattern. And you have to confine them like that for a couple of days. And I just did this out of plywood and scrap wood I had laying around and some pallets. And even though the world seemed to be going crazy, even though it seemed like everything was spiraling out of control, I was able to do something useful on my own land. I'll talk maybe I'll just start talking about the ranch on Fridays. Do that this Friday. Yeah, sounds like a good idea. Oh, that's really cool, Goose. 4-H is an awesome program that I didn't get to participate in because I grew up in the city for the second half of my childhood. Well, suburbs, not really the city. I mean, coming from for the first half of my childhood, I was in the high desert, right? It's pretty rural, had a half acre, and so there's like an acre in between each house, you know. So going from that to the suburbs is like I live in the city. Then I went to LA and I found out what the city was really like. Glad I came back out here. Anyway, back to the ranch. Now today, I'm in the middle of another project. This one a little bit less slapdash and a little bit more permanent. I'm going to be building a raised bed garden because last year when I tried to plant vegetables, gophers came and ate all the roots, and I didn't get anything. And so today, I went out on the skid steer and I flattened out the area that I was working on yesterday and just asked Jamie about that story. But I finished that up today. The area is now flat. Chai tea is absolutely one of my favorite teas. Tastes so good. Sorry, I'm just gonna have another sip. So the area is flat, and now I need to go to Lowe's and get some lumber to build the frame out with, and I'll use some corrugated roofing that I have laying around in order to make the walls of it, and it'll look really good, and it'll be mold proof because there will be hardware cloth on the bottom, and it will be squirrel proof because there will be a cage around the top. And despite things in the news, despite reading about hundreds of Christians losing their lives, despite seeing the government fail to approve a budget to put a wall in, you are correct, Cold as Ice Bear. I do not use ground up crap. I use loose leaf tea, which is why I have the teapot. If you remember from the beginning of the show when I poured my first cup of tea, I do not like tea bags. I don't like to taste paper. I like to taste tea. I use a teapot. I agree, Cold as Ice Bear. It is way better. 100%. Any like nylon bags, they can taste okay. But anyone who hasn't tried, who thinks they like tea already but hasn't tried brewing loose leaf tea, you're missing out. Really, you're missing out. Yeah, Congress's inability to do anything useful was really getting on my nerves today. Actually, yes, and reading about how Trump needed to actually appropriate the funds from the Pentagon, and even though it's good that the courts have approved it, the fact that it took them this long to even get started is is a bit disconcerting, and I was upset at the crisis that's been happening at the border. I was really upset this morning about it, and I'm upset because people are suffering at the hands of coyotes and cartels, and you've got and you've got people just going in through breaches, and they're causing problems for people in America, causing them to suffer. And it's just everyone involved at the border is suffering because the law is not being properly enforced, and it really aggravates me. But the fact that I was able to, on my own land, clear out a space that is very soon going to be producing delicious summer squash and salad greens, I feel okay. It's like there are things in the world. I do my bit by talking, by convincing, by saying that as far as what you can do, you can cast your vote, you can talk to people, but that's about it. And so in order to gain a little bit of peace of mind, what you can do is you can go out and change your own environment to be better for you. Congress has been a potted plant since the 1960s, or 1903, if you want to go back that far. Is that the year that the Income Tax Act was passed? I think you might exactly build something with your hands. Now you might not have a big ranch, well, a really small ranch like I have. Well, that's a good point, Cold as Ice Bear. You can also pray. Good point. And you can pray for peace of mind. But something that helps a lot is if you can actually do something. You can do something to make where you are better. Like, for instance, the sheep needed a secure, dry, warm place to lamb, and I built that, and I felt better. And I would like to have vegetables that I know where they're coming from. I know they don't have any nasty chemicals on them. I know that they don't have E. coli on them. And so I can do that. Oh, don't even get me started, Boulder, on the welfare state and how it's basically just a poverty trap in order to create a permanent subclass of interested voters. Don't even get me started on that. Well, you say that, Slapweasel, but there are a lot of people. I don't know. Slapweasel, you might be an atheist, but as a Christian, I think that if you do pray, sometimes the answer might be yes. Now, in my own life, the yes answers have been about things changing within myself rather than changing things in the world. I don't really pray for changes in the world. I don't really pray for changes in the world because it feels selfish to me, but I do know people who say that they do pray for the world and they think it has an effect. Well, see, that's Slapweasel. When you say things like prayer allows for your own peace of mind, but it doesn't change anything other than your perspective. That sounds like a very atheistic thing to say, and I'll tell you that because I think that God actually does move in the world. He doesn't just change your perspective. He can show you a way to act. He can show other people a way to act. But that's just what I believe. Like, he'll help us, but we've also got to do things. But yes, it's a very good thing that prayer was mentioned because I'd forgotten to mention that. Cold as ice bear. I say I pray for myself because there are things about myself I know need I need help with, like patience and things like that, um, courage and things like this. I ask God for the things I will need in order to do what I think needs to be done. Courage, guidance, wisdom. I think these are very good things to pray for. I don't think you're selfish to ask for them. Although do be careful because sometimes he will just provide you the way to grow in that area rather than just give you the divine supply, as it were. You can be very, very careful when you pray because the yes can be more unpleasant than the no sometimes. No, I know you're not taking a shot at me, cold as ice bear. I just I thought that I would elaborate because I thought that I might have been unclear. And this interesting thing, this might not work for women, but this works for men, is if you build something, I think that we're made in such a way that the act of building, it kind of soothes the soul. Yeah, Spurdonkey, you are correct. Prayer and meditation can happen at the same time often, but I tend to do those separately. But I might not be doing meditation right. Like I intensely concentrate on something when I meditate, or I intentionally force my body into a relaxed state. Those are my two kinds of meditation. I don't know, but when I pray, it's different from that. Like when I pray, I'm asking specifically for my virtues to be bolstered and for my temptations to be eased. Because I do have virtues, I think. Help. I think I'm honest. I think I can be a bit too honest as well. I think I'm I think I'm courageous. I think I'm loyal. You know, these things. But I don't want those virtues to fail. And so I ask for them to be strengthened. Excellent point, Slap Weasel, and so being grounded. It's you've got your own sphere of influence. And you can pray and you can vote and you can talk to people and try and convince them over to your way of thinking. But you've got your sphere of influence. You've got your own little area that's your job to take care of. And it can really, really help just improve it. Like if you notice that there's something broken, just fix it. Like if you're if you have squeaky hinges, here's all you have to do. You knock the pin out. You coat it in grease. Don't use WD-40 because it'll just strip right off. You just coat it in grease, a thin layer of grease, and then you put the pin back in, and then your hinge will move smoothly without squeaking. There you go. Um, you notice that your cabinet door is hanging crooked. Well, you might just need to replace the hinge. You go down to Home Depot. It's $4. Get a new hinge. You swap them out, and bam, you've got a straight hanging cabinet door again. Change that light bulb that's been out for 3 days. You'll feel better. I promise. It works. You've got you've got a planter out in front that's got nothing in it. go and get some seeds or some live plants, and just plant some, and hopefully they won't die. And like I suggest strawberries. If you just have like a little planter, strawberries are very attractive looking plants, and they also give you strawberries. See? I know the clever tricks. Also, lavender and rosemary are very good for cooking, and they don't take up a lot of water, and they look pretty. Especially in the spring when the rosemary has those little purple flowers. They are very attractive plants. Good for bees, too. Oh, yeah. Here's a great thing to do. Get just a metal bucket, poke some holes in the bottom, right? No, seriously. And then you've got a pot with a handle on it. It's great. And then you plant a cherry tomato plant in your hanging pot and hang it up by your kitchen door. And then all summer long you will have delicious cherry tomatoes that you can just walk by and pop one off, and it tastes really good. And tomato plants, they aren't ugly. They're good looking as well, right? So most people, your neighbors probably won't complain, and if they do, tell them that they don't know what they're talking about. And if you just do things like this, right? Your own house, your own yard, it'll be a better place to be in. Everyone who comes into that place will feel better. You'll feel better. And even though you've done everything that you can to affect everything outside, your spot is better. Your spot is more resilient. Your spot has strawberries and tomatoes. Your spot has hinges that don't squeak. You've got faucets that don't leak. Right? And that's just if you have like a suburban house. Or if you're renting, just go ahead and fix the things. Don't depend on your landlord. He probably doesn't care and thinks that you're just wrecking the place anyway. So just make little improvements to your apartment if you live in an apartment. Hang up a pretty picture. Fix the faucet. I don't know what you can do about doors in an apartment, but yeah, you don't have to go all out and remodel the place. And if you have a balcony, you can also you can put plants in little pots and hang them off the balcony, and it actually works really well. Remove the log from your own yet first. Cold as ice bear. Now that is some wisdom. Wisdom in the typos. Look. I know you're making fun of me the last moment, but strawberry plants actually do look good. They have pretty white flowers. They have broad, nice green leaves. It makes the yard look better. I swear, it does. Anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about. You guys had a lot to say, and so it's you know what's coming up next. Gotta know. It's time. It's time for Florida Man.
Florida Man. We all said no. He said, yes, I can. Florida Man. He always gets caught. He never has a plan.
thank you very much for that song, The Last Moment. I do enjoy it every time I hear it because I look forward to this. Now, as you guys know, I do not read these stories ahead of time. So we are going on a journey together to find out what Florida Man has been up to. Florida Man found driving golf cart with 5 bottles of Fireball whiskey, police say. Oh, goodbye, cold as ice bear. You're missing out on Florida Man. Sumter County, Florida, a 45-year-old Florida man was more than 3 times over the legal limit while driving a golf cart through a neighborhood Thursday evening, the Sumter County Sheriff's Office said. Wow. Deputies said they were called shortly before 7:45 p.m. to East County Road and Morse Boulevard after a passerby saw Florida Man nodding off while waiting at a red light. Oh, that's right. They drive those on the road in Florida. Florida Man seemed groggy. His eyes were watery and bloodshot. He smelled of alcohol and had difficulty answering simple questions, including what his name is, investigators said. They said he became very defensive when he was asked for his address and his date of birth. Deputies said Florida Man told them he does not normally wear glasses, but he had a pair of glasses hanging from his shirt. They said an open 1 3/4 liter bottle of Fireball cinnamon with cinnamon whiskey and 4 miniature bottles of the liquor were discovered on a seat beside Florida Man. Investigators said Florida Man provided 2 breath samples, which registered alcohol concentrations of 0.285 and 0.292. The legal limit in Florida is 0.08. Oh boy. Deputy said Florida Man read the DUI citation and refused to sign it, so he faced an additional charge. Florida Man was booked to the Sumter County Detention Center on charges of driving under the influence and resisting an officer. An arrest report said Florida Man was previously convicted in 2000 for a DUI in Maryland. Oh, Florida Man. Florida Man, we do want the best for you. And so, we beg you not to turn to drink. Especially not such a terrible drink as Fireball, which is disgusting. And an insult to whiskey. That fake cinnamon flavoring in whiskey is just... ugh. I don't know why anyone drinks it. Well, that's about it for tonight, guys. We, of course... we should also pray for Florida Man, I think, is really the lesson to be learned from all this. Well, Slapweasel, they drive them on the road there. They drive them on the road. And the golf carts in Florida can move. Yes, we should pray that Florida Man gets his drinking under control and does not run over children in his golf cart, of course. And we should remember to make positive changes in our own little spheres, our own little areas, our little fiefdoms, if you were, stewardships, if we're going to speak biblically. And if you enjoyed the show, please hit the like button. If you would like to see more, you can subscribe. And if you would like that subscription to mean anything, then ring the notification bell. If you would like to have more fun in the chat, then please share the links to the show with your friends and enemies. And if you would like to support me, you could do so by buying your very own handsome mug. Look at it. Look at how handsome it is. This is the prototype version, and the new one that you guys get is even more handsome because it has one here and one here of the very handsome field logo. Very handsome. It makes your tea taste at least 38% more handsome. It has a compounding effect on coffee. Or you can just give me money at paypal.me/fieldtalk because I need your shekels, please. If you would like to see more content from me, there are the social media sites, the links below. The best one is Gab. There is also a Twitter run by Mr. Not Field, whose first name is Field and last name is Not, and is definitely not me. You can follow, but he is pretty faithful with the links to the show, so that's a good deal. What is one more thing? Oh, that's all my shills. That is, I think I've remembered all of my shills. Yes. Oh no, Instagram. Haha. You can also follow the Instagram for exclusively pictures of the ranch. Right now it's mostly baby animals. There's never anything political on there. It's totally safe to send links to anyone you want. It's just pleasant pictures of the ranch. And as always, never forget that socialism always ends in starvation and genocide.